Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School here every night on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. We hold Night School where I break down the most urgent debates, the most interesting topics, the most controversial subjects going on in the world today. And tonight is no different. I want to shout everybody out who's joining me on the YouTube channel. But also, if you're seeing this on Twitter, feel free to watch. But it's always better if you come over to the YouTube side. We got more dialogue, the opportunity to participate in the conversation, opportunity to send super chats, and of course, an opportunity to help us support the channel. But that said, I'm just happy y'all watching because it is another day of wildness out here in the world. We got some stuff to talk about, some stuff I want to break down. We ain't gonna be here for a long time, but we're gonna be here for a minute breaking down some of the biggest issues going on in the world. And I think there's no surprise that a lot of it is still revolving around the United States and Israel, and of course, y'all's president, Donald John Trump. It is crazy, man. It feels like it's been forever. It's only been a week. It's only been a week, and Donald Trump is already radically shifting, changing the world, both directly and indirectly. I'm excited to be here with you all to talk about it, even at the same time that I want to fling myself off this chair because Donald Trump is going to be president for 4 more years. I want to point out, though, the media is going to benefit greatly from this. A lot of you public voices, critics, analysts, strategists, whatever those are, you're going to benefit from this. Sadly, even some of these activists, professional organizers and activists are going to benefit from this. There's a way that I'm profoundly disturbed that Donald Trump is El Presidente. It's the worst possible outcome of the probable outcomes. But there's also a way that the left, and particularly liberals, tend to ignore the realities of the moment. They tend to pretend that Biden's drones or Obama's drones or potentially Kamala Harris's drones are less harmful than Bush's drones or Trump's drones. And so, some of the more organized actions, some of the most widespread movements I've seen for justice happen in these moments of crisis that are fomented partly by the presence of a Republican in power. So while I absolutely didn't want Trump to be president, I did everything I could, I think, that was principled to fight it. I'm also trying to pivot into that new area, trying to pivot into that new zone of thinking, which is where are the opportunities to build and to grow? Where are the opportunities to organize? Where are the spaces for political education? Those are the things that we can think about. Those are the things that we can talk about. And I told y'all before, and I'm gonna get into it tonight when we talk about these Trump appointees. I told y'all before, the Bobby Womack philosophy. I know the great American philosopher, Bobby Womack. If you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight. Donald Trump, on this question of Gaza, on this question of Palestine, is decidedly, markedly, and indisputably worse than anything that's going on right now. Now, I agree 1,000% that we don't want to sanitize the Democrats' action. This genocide is all Joe Biden and Netanyahu's doing. Either of them could have stopped this thing. But I don't want to pretend that it wouldn't be a genocide if Trump were in office. Come on now. We got to be honest about that as well. But I love what Bullet the Bunny just said. I do. I refuse to be afraid of him this time around. Trump is a perfect face for American empire. And I think that's right. I think that's right. let's take all the deodorant off. Let's take all the makeup off. Let's take all the fancy dressings off and point to the reality of the situation, which is this is an empire in decline, but one that is still doing extraordinary harm around the world. I want people to understand the urgency of the moment. So we out here now. It's not what I wanted, but it's the outcome. And the fact that this country elected Donald Trump, the fact that this country made Donald Trump the president again, and not because of some electoral college quirk. Most Americans wanted Donald Trump. Most white people wanted Donald Trump, and so forth and so on. I mean, this country wanted that. We get what we asked for. So, and instead, y'all out here still blaming the Green Party. Y'all out here still saying it's Jill Stein's fault that Donald Trump is president. If you gave all the votes, every single one, to Kamala Harris, she still loses in the landslide. Not even close. But even if people had been voting Green at high levels and high numbers, and that was an influential factor, who gives a damn? To the extent that this isn't a question. America saw Donald Trump in action. As a nation, we saw what 4 years of Trump looked like. Y'all saw what 4 years of Biden looked like. And Kamala Harris seemed to be promising another 4 years of Biden. So why did the majority of Americans choose Trump? That's the question we should be asking. What does that say about Trump? What does that say about Biden? What does that say about Kamala Harris? What does that say about the Democrats? That's the question we should be raising. That's the issue we should be probing. Instead of trying to play the blame game and throwing our queries into the cheap seats, let's actually get to the seat of power and ask them, as Marvin Gaye said, what's going on? Anyway, let's get to it, y'all. Let's get to it, because the first thing I want to talk about is Syria. The United Nations is sounding the alarm after Israel just violated a 50-year-old ceasefire agreement with Syria. Israel has begun construction along a buffer zone known as the Alpha Line that separates the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights from Syria. It's essentially a demilitarized zone in which Israeli forces are required to remain west of the separation areas. No, the area of separation is technically called, and Syrian forces must remain on the east. Satellite images show something a little bit different, something that's undesirable. It shows new trenches being existing along the length of the Alpha Line dug by the Israeli military, who have apparently been laying asphalt down. Now, why would they be laying asphalt down? Well, they want to build a new road along the frontier. So I have an image here of the buffer zone, but it's not loading well. I'm having a little tech issue, so you just have to trust me here. But it's all over. You can find the AP News and other outlets have been showing the satellite images and the images of the new buffer zone. And the United Nations says the work started in September, and that Israel had its troops into the demilitarized zone during the construction. Now, one of the reasons this is causing concern is because there's been no major violence along the Alpha Line since the ceasefire agreement was signed in 1974. This is a big deal out there. Israeli settlers live alongside 20,000 Syrians. Most of them are Druze. If you don't know the Druze, they are another population inside of Israel. You have Arabs as a national identity, you have Jews. You also have the Druze, many of whom are refuseniks. They are people who refuse to participate in the Israeli conscription army. Violating the ceasefire agreement only risks increasing tensions across the Middle East. This after Israeli troops completed construction of new roadways and what appears to be a buffer zone along the Gaza Strip's frontier with Israel. So once again, according to the United Nations, Israel is violating peace treaties. Israel is violating international laws and order. And this is not a surprise to many people, as Israel has blatantly said, and we saw it in our debate in office hours, where Ayal said, who is who's to tell us how we define our borders? So that language right away tells you how many people view international law. Um, Bob Warren said, "Isn't the Golan Heights Lebanese? The Golan, this region of the Golan, the Golan Heights is Syrian. It's been Syrian since uh, Israel took it from Syria in 1967 during the Six-Day War." Um, but the question that comes up from some of you is, and it's the right question, which is, who's supposed to be doing something about it? It's a great question. International law is only as good as its enforcement. So unless the world is enforcing it, and particularly the Western powerful nations are saying, hey, this is unacceptable, then none of this other shit really matters. None of this stuff really, really matters. Let's talk about something else, man. We've started to talk about it anyway, but I got to get right to it. And that is Donald J. Trump's presidential choices. Because your man he has exceeded even my expectations for how bad he could be at choosing people. It's at the point now where I feel like Donald Trump is just flat out trolling. It really feels that way. And it's moving fast, right? Donald Trump is assembling um a cabinet. And he's not having formal press conferences. He's not doing like the president-elect chooses this person or that person thing. Donald Trump is going straight to his truth social media. He's got people tweeting stuff. He's going a different way. Well, the latest news, of course, is that Donald Trump has chosen Matt Gaetz to be U.S. Attorney General. We saw that posted on his Truth social page or platform, whatever you want to call it. And I got to say, he exceeded even my expectations. Again, I expect very little. I think I think he's the worst person on earth, and he went even further. Anyway, it sounds like it's an Onion article or an SNL spoof, but no. Donald Trump has chosen a Matt Gaetz to be the U.S. Attorney General. That's right. You might be saying, is there a different Matt Gaetz, one who isn't an alleged sex trafficker? Nope. It's that Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz immediately retired from Congress after Trump announced his nomination. The former Florida congressman the now former Florida congressman, as of like 10 minutes ago, it feels like, was the target of a House ethics investigation for sexual misconduct with a minor, illicit drug use, and obstruction of justice. And he's no longer a member of Congress. So guess what? The investigation is dead as well. Trump's cabinet members, they would be comical if they weren't so damn serious. This guy, again, has chosen somebody who has a record of saying crazy things, of saying offensive things, of saying bigoted things, but also he's somebody, Matt Gaetz, who has a history of allegations of sexual misconduct, and not with adults. Why would you want that as your attorney general? Because remember, it's not just about impropriety, it's about the appearance of impropriety. And he appears to be engaged in multiple acts of impropriety. So why do you choose him? But he ain't the only one. He announced his foreign policy and national security team first, which I get, it makes sense, especially with what's going on in the world. And I suspect that his foreign policy and national security team are a signpost of his priorities in office. Donald Trump wants to make a legacy. And I think he wants the Middle East to be a big part of his presidential legacy. And with the Middle East a powder keg right now, and with many people fighting over what choices to make and how to make those choices, the fact that Donald Trump has made these choices says a lot. He's announced 8 people. None of them have been confirmed, of course. 16 spots open. It's stunning what this man has done. So let's look at Donald Trump's choices, shall we? Y'all cool with that? Can we look at Donald Trump's choices? Pete Hegseth. I'm not saying he's completely unqualified. He's a former military guy, done a little bit of policy stuff, Fox News commentator, which is where Donald Trump gets most of his foreign policy ideas. Degrees from Princeton and Harvard, I believe. In comparison to the average Joe, he is highly decorated and supremely qualified. Compared to the average defense secretary, I mean, put him next to Lloyd Austin. You know, think about the people he's been next to, and you say, "Oh my God, this guy's a lightweight. This guy is unprepared for this job. This guy doesn't know anything." But he's malleable and he's zealous. And those are two things that he likes. We talked about Matt Gaetz. Again, U.S. Attorney General, somebody who is right now under investigation for being a creep. It's not okay. Kristi Noem, Lee Zeldin, Tulsi Gabbard, Elise Stefanik, John Ratcliffe. This is not a strong bunch. We didn't even get to Mike Huckabee, which I'm going to get to in a minute. We talked about him yesterday, but I'm gonna go back to it. Elise Stefanik is UN ambassador? Are you serious? Are you serious? If you don't remember Elise Stefanik, she was the member of Congress out of New York, U.S. Congresswoman out of New York, who was the one grandstanding against the Ivy League presidents, you know, Harvard and Penn and MIT, not Ivy League, but it's so important school, you know, lightweights, but very strong Trump supporters. Let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump has also chosen Mike Huckabee. Again, Mike Huckabee, I'm not sure Mike Huckabee believes in dinosaurs. Mike Huckabee is a hardcore right-wing evangelical. I've known Mike Huckabee for years. We worked at Fox News together. One week I was supposed to play in his band. I didn't get to do it. I didn't do it, but you know, I've known Mike since he was hosting a Sunday show on Fox News, and we were both working there together. Mike Huckabee is saying that the relationship between Israel and the settlement and the illegal settlements in the West Bank is like the United States and Manhattan, whatever you think of that. He doesn't use the language of West Bank. He only talks about Judea and Samaria. He's basically saying Israel has a right to do whatever it wants with no pushback. You got Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. Can you Marco Rubio as Secretary of State? At least when you had people like Rex Tillerson who seemed like outsiders, they kind of made sense to the extent that they were honchos and they were powerful people, and he liked power, and he didn't necessarily think you needed area expertise to be a good leader because he doesn't have any and he considers himself a good leader. So I get all of that. See it? I get it. It makes sense. But Marco Rubio is a lightweight, but he continues to say the right things, and that means the things Trump wants to hear on Israel, Palestine, among other issues. You know, he's going to pressure Ukraine, I'm sure, to yield more territory. He's going to, you know, talk tough on Iran. You know, Bullet the Bunny says, you know, being better than Blinken, you know, being better than Anthony Blinken isn't a high bar, and I think that's right. But you know, I never wanted Democrats to be my point of comparison because they suck. Oh, do they suck? I get it. But I think Marco Rubio is going to be worse because Marco Rubio is dangerous and uninformed, and Trump doesn't have a worldview that he's advancing. He wants to control the world, not change it. And so he's going to be listening to people who will tell him how things are in his strategic interest, or how they make him look good, or how they help him, or how it makes him money in the future, or his friends rich now. These are all the kinds of things that Trump thinks about. And so Marco Rubio is there. He said the Middle East and all the deaths in Gaza are 100% the fault of Hamas. He said Israel has no blame or responsibility. The U.S. has no blame or responsibility on what's happening in Gaza. This is Marco Rubio, y'all soon to be Secretary of State. Now, the other question is, do these people get confirmed? Mike Huckabee gets confirmed. Whatever you think about him, Mike Huckabee as U.S. ambassador to Israel is not. That's not tough. That's not tough to do because Mike Huckabee is deserving in terms of his resume. He's been governor of a state. You can pretty much get confirmed for that. And with Republicans in the Senate, I just can't see a situation where Mike Huckabee doesn't get confirmed. I think Marco Rubio gets confirmed. I think Tulsi Gabbard gets confirmed. I think Elise Stefanik gets confirmed. But my God, such mediocrity, man, such mediocrity. Anyway, we can move on to another story, y'all. But I just need you to know I am so profoundly frustrated with these choices. Not disappointed because I didn't have an expectation, but frustrated nonetheless. Let's talk about another story outside the Middle East, outside of American electoral politics, and that is a story about the extraordinary danger of having a baby in this country. It shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't be this dangerous. You know, before Trump was elected, a lot of people said, hey, the Trump presidency is going to put women at risk. And people mainly thought it was about reproductive freedom, reproductive justice, specifically abortion. A new study, though, found that pregnant women, or those who have given birth in the last year, are more likely to be murdered than die from medical causes, things like preeclampsia, for example. Intimate partner violence accounts for the majority of pregnancy-related homicides. Now, it's wild. I get that it's hard to really get what this means. It shows us that maternal mortality can often be influenced by state divorce laws and, again, access to reproductive health care. Black women, no surprise here, and women under the age of 25 are at the highest risk. So young Black women at that intersection are particularly vulnerable, which is scary to me. Murder rates among pregnant women were higher in states that put restrictions on finalizing divorce while pregnant. So the harder it was to get away with that baby, the harder it was to be safe. We have Arkansas, we have Texas, we have Missouri, and other states are on the way to have these kinds of restrictions. Murder rates were also higher in states that required a waiting period or parental consent for an abortion. Study also found that the U.S. has a higher prevalence of intimate partner violence compared to any other high-income country, including most European countries and Australia. So y'all can stay focused on that issue. We never want to lose sight of the fact that there's so much danger. But let's get back to U.S. electoral politics for a minute, because I think this might be the most frustrating for me. And that is, there is a way that the American electoral process works where we pride ourselves as a country on being kind of consistent with the transfer of power. There's not going to be a coup. There's going to be no fighting. There's going to be no this. There's going to be no that. We're going to shake hands and blah, 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 blah. And there's a way that you can even get national pride from that. You could be like, oh my God, this is so great. I live in a country where the Democrat and Republican don't kill each other, or they don't get angry at each other, or they don't fail to congratulate each other, etc. But the truth is, the reason why there's such a conciliatory behavior between the Democrats and the Republicans, the reason why there's always a peaceful transfer of power is because Democrats and Republicans ain't that different. They're on the same agenda, and the powerful and the rich who manage both of those parties are making sure that these transitions are smooth, because the unsmooth transition is just bad for business. It's bad for money. It's bad for them. They don't want that kind of smoke. And so you see it happening. So I'm not surprised by that. But I got to tell you, a lot of people were surprised at what they saw, because social media started weighing in and talking and proving how they felt, which was, damn, President Biden is happy. In fact, it was so bad. Biden looked so happy with Trump returning to the White House that there were people who wondered if he wasn't happy to be out right now. Even First Lady looked excited, and she don't never look happy when she's with Donald Trump. I mean, why should she? some people even question whether Biden voted for Trump or not because he looked so happy to see Trump back in that White House. And of course, conservatives noted that Biden was so excited to hand the reins over to Trump after Democrats pressured him relentlessly to drop out of the race. Well, I should say hand over the reins to really Kamala Harris in terms of the nomination after Democrats pressured him to drop out of the race. And President Biden promised a smooth transition. Trump thanked him, and he said that politics is ugly. And I don't know why he chose to say that, but he's not wrong. It was just an interesting thing to say. But yeah, again, it's fascinating to see this man in the White House. Now let's also pay attention to, again, Trump looks angry and annoyed, but he's also in a powerful stance and position. He looks like he's ready to take some shit over and dominate it. Again, no freedom, no justice. I'm not in any way romanticizing what Trump presidency is going to be. It's going to be awful. But he at least looks with it and present in this picture. Joe Biden looks like he's calling for a puppy to jump on his lap. Or he was told we're going to have ice cream for dinner. I mean, he just doesn't look present. He doesn't look well. I wish him the best as in terms of his physical health. I really for the benefit of those who love him. But I don't like this. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't like this. I don't like seeing first date vibes is funny. I think that you know what? I just don't like it. If Donald Trump is the existential threat you said he was, if he's so radically different than you and or Kamala Harris, then why, sir, are you so damn excited to see him? Why are you so excited for him to be here? You don't have to be that. You could be like me. I'd be the jerk in the room. I 1 pound and we out. No, wouldn't be sharing no secrets, wouldn't be sharing no letters and notes, wouldn't be doing no White House tour, wouldn't be doing none of that, whether it's his first term or his second term. I don't know. Absolutely not. Before we go, I want to talk about another important story. Trick Daddy. Y'all know the rapper, or maybe y'all don't know. Maybe y'all don't know, but Trick Daddy is a very famous rapper here down south in Philadelphia, in the United States, southern United States. And every once in a while, Trick say something crazy or what people perceive to be crazy, and they try to kind of push him out of the conversation, but he continues to talk. Sometimes I wish he wouldn't. He's doubling down right now after facing backlash. Rapper Trick Daddy is doubling down after facing major backlash over a video that he shared on social media. In the video, Trick Daddy is discussing Black people in the United States and said he does not consider himself an African American. Now, that's provocative, but I want you to listen to why he doesn't.
Somebody never tell me one story about no mother Africa. I don't know nothing about Africa. All I know is all the African people I know and run into, they think they better than us over here. So what you worry about me saying that I'm not African? I'm just American. What's wrong with you? You get a problem? And it's your mother podcast show. Don't bring my name up. I don't know you, so I'm not bringing your name. I'm still not saying your name. So what you mean? This show you can talk about. You got my name in your mouth. Both of you look alike.
Hear that?
And I'm with. I don't care how old I am. We about the same age.
Do you hear this?
Oh y'all, but Africa this. Ain't there one of you mother?
So, Trick Daddy says, as you heard, I'm not African. I'm not from Africa. I don't know nobody African. All I know is they think they're better than us. He said, I'm trying to figure out how Afro get in front of my MFM race. He went on to say other things, but, he said my mother, not her mother, not her mother's mother, that ain't their land. America hadn't been Africa. America's real true land is right here on U.S. soil. So Trick Daddy's denying his African Americans, and people were upset about this on the internet. And there was a time where I would have been too, like, man, you are African American, you are Afro American, you whatever you want to call it, you one of us. But as I get older, I think about it a little bit differently, and I say I get. Again, I use black for myself, although I will say African American in the right context. I prefer to say I'm black, and in the United States, that means a particular thing. And it can be complicated and messy, but at the end of the day, I understand why Trick is saying, look, we're decades away from Africa. We have a U.S. culture here. We have a U.S. national identity here. We have our own traditions and practices that are tied to Africa, but are rooted in the U.S. tradition of slavery. So if I am a descendant of American slavery, then yeah, I want to identify as that, not this generic thing or this problematic thing that's not generic and not new, but still not ideal. I get it. I get why you'd want to do that. I get why you'd want to say, look, I'm not that thing. What I don't want to do, though, is continue to foment those culture wars and those diaspora wars where people say, oh, you think you're better than us because you're from, Cote d'Ivoire. And no, you Americans think you're this. I don't want that. Because to white people, we're black. To the police, we're black. White supremacy is powerful because it creates a norm whiteness. So if you ain't white, get in the back of the line. It's just a question of where in the line you finna be. So I get why Trick Daddy said, look, I ain't worried about none of that stuff. I'm worried about my people, my culture here in the United States. That's what I got to deal with. That makes sense to me. But I don't want the diaspora wars. I don't want to trigger a thing about who's better, who got the best rights, the best dances, the best food, the best work ethic, all that stuff. Who hates who loves. I don't want none of that. I don't mean we can't have spirited conversations. I mean, I don't want that to be that. I don't want that to be the end game, just more infighting. No, I want something liberatory, specifically for people who were the children of slavery or the grandchildren of great, whatever. You're a descendant of enslaved Africans here in the United States. I think that's an important place to start. And of course, it's an important place to stop. I want to thank y'all for watching Night School tonight. And I appreciate y'all. As always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're so inclined, hit the join button. It gives us the financial stability we need to make the content that we're making at the speed and pace that we're doing, and to even give you more. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're so inclined, hit the join button and become a paid monthly subscriber. Everybody here, if you want to make a donation and buy memberships for someone else, you can do that right on the main page and the app. But if you don't want to make a commitment beyond the month, then go to Cash App, go to PayPal, go to Venmo, go to Zelle, and drop something in. If everybody watching were to leave $1, we'd be happy. If everybody left $1 million, we'd be pretty damn happy. It's my guys. If you leave $1, we're happy. If you leave $1 million, we're happy. And I'll be grateful to all of you. But if everybody watching could leave $10, it would allow us to meet our financial goals for the month. It's the financial goals for the month that get met that allow us to have night school every night, or office hours at 9 p.m. on Sunday, coffee and books 9 a.m. on Saturday, or the Classroom in the Cell podcast with political prisoner Mumia Abu Jamal every Sunday at 9 a.m. We can't do this stuff without your support. So if everybody watching right now could drop $10 on Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, we meet our goals for the month. And that means hiring producers, hiring script writers, getting bookers, bringing talent to the table, and working toward building a new studio. All of it is what we do. We just need your support. So do what you can, and nothing more than that. I appreciate you. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.